All right. So we have public hearings. The first one is Robert Leonard, 175 Amity Road, application to amend 13.12.1 of the zoning regulations of the town of Woodbridge regarding the liquor establishments to add a new subsection reading manufacturer, beer, and brew pub, Connecticut General Statute, Section 30-16G. And this was published as a legal notice on Thursday, May 21st, and Thursday, May 28th. All right. Are there any comments about? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just put the law out and highlighted the things. On the first page is what we currently have for license. On the last page is the license that we're going for. And I'll explain more about that.
Okay.
And your name?
Robert Leonard, 14 Medler Street, Woodbridge, on behalf of New England Brewing Company at 175 Amity Road.
Great, excellent. All right.
Thank you for having me. We came before you to move across the street, but over about a year and a half ago, and things have been going very well there. Thank the zoning commission for allowing that. And
We were going to start having meetings over there, but we were waiting for you to open.
yeah, please do. Always welcome. So what we've been running under is a manufacturer permit for beer. That was our liquor license for 13 years now. We were on Selden Street and currently over at 175 Amity Road. About a couple of years ago, the state has a new license that I guess Woodbridge does not have in their regulations, and that is the manufacturer of beer, which is what I have, and brew pub. We will not be putting in a restaurant or serving food, but the only thing that it will allow us to do is to sell pints of beer to the customers who come in. Because right now what we do, we manufacture beer, we sell it to distributors, they sell it to the bars and restaurants. We have the retail side where people can come into the brewery and get fresh beer to go in growlers.
Right.
But it's filled there, it's going to be a sealed container, they take it out to consume off-premise. And we can give samples of beer. With this new license, we can actually sell a flight of beers and sell pints to our customers that come in. And there's so many new Connecticut breweries popping up that have gotten this license. So the tasting rooms are getting a little more competitive now. So we'd like to offer that to our customers. Not to turn it into a bar, we'll still keep the same hours that we do. We're open Wednesday through Friday, 3 to 7, and Saturday, 11 to 4. But it'd be nice to, as people come in, if they're waiting for their growlers to be filled, sometimes there's long lines. Instead of just offering them a couple of samples, they can actually have a pint or meet a friend, pick up their growlers. It's not going to be like an old Western saloon or anything like that, but there's no bar stools, there's no chairs. It's just another offering that we can give our customers.
So people come in and can just drink beer and there's no food or anything? Do they stay there and drink the beer?
Yeah, this would allow the customer to come in, purchase growlers to go, but also if they wanted to have a pint or a flight of beers, like a sampler tray.
And there's no sitting?
There's no sitting.
And it's not like there's like no bar or anything?
No, there'll be a bar, but not to sit down at. That's just more of a counter bar.
And you don't serve any food?
No food.
Not even pretzels?
No, with this one you don't have to, and I don't want to get into the restaurant business. I mean, they can get food from Wheelers or other places. They can bring it in. There could be a food truck there in the future if you'd like.
Is there any other place fairly local that operates under this that you?
Yeah, Overshore's Brewery in East Haven might be the closest one that have this license. They're a manufacturing
Been
brewery.
around for a while. Do you know when this license opportunity came into existence?
About 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Two Roads Brewing in Stratford, they have the same license. They don't serve food, but they always have food trucks, and they have the area restaurants bring in food, which helps the area restaurants too. They love that idea. This way you're not competing with them. And it'd be more of a, the reason there's no stools or chairs, I'm not interested in having people camp out and hang out too long. We like
No,
to-
I understand. I'm not opposed to it, I'm just trying to understand.
So we presume you produce at least 5,000 gallons of beer annually.
a lot more than
I was going to say, how much do you produce annually?
We're at about 8,000 barrels right now, and in the fall we'll be expanding to probably do near 16.
So you're doubling your capacity?
Yeah. Right now we have a brew house. The brew house is the mash tun, the kettle that you make the beer in. It's a 15-barrel system. We have mostly 30-barrel tanks, and we brew 2 times a day, 5 or 6 days a week now. And then we're going to get a 30-barrel brew house and 60-barrel tanks. They all fit right in the same spot. So I guess this is just asking the town to, I guess, adopt this. I don't know the exact wording, and then I come back and ask if I can do this at another time.
Any other questions?
So Terry, this would require a special permit if we were to amend the zoning regulations?
Well, it's already in our regulations.
It's in a section that requires a special permit from you.
I think it does.
Permitted establishments.
I'm trying to understand, what is the difference between a brew pub, at least under the regulation, and what the purpose of it is, and any restaurant that sells alcohol and food?
A brew pub, you would still manufacture the beer
Yeah,
on the
I
premise.
understand, but
And then
is-
they can sell it in the restaurant for on sale on premise. Where my license is manufacture and wholesale it out, and you can sell retail, but you cannot. I can't sell someone a pint of beer in our brewery. You can give them a free sample, but you can't sell them the way the license is now. But I couldn't.
No, I understand. I'm trying to understand why they added this section as opposed to just a restaurant with selling of alcohol.
And we don't have a legislative
I
history
don't
in front of
know.
us, so we're not quite sure.
Probably because these guys wanted to be able to serve beer.
The
Yeah,
big
but any alcohol,
difference with the
the
with the one that
restaurant
he's
with liquor
asking
license can sell
for,
beer.
But they can't, they're not a restaurant.
No. I'm just trying to understand why they added this section to begin with.
So that the brew pubs could serve beer.
they don't have to serve food.
No, he doesn't have to, but he can.
But that's the difference, is that he doesn't, a restaurant, you have to have
Oh,
a
you
certain
have to-
percentage of food to a
okay.
beverage.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Okay. With or without the sale. Okay.
Are you gonna hire somebody to tend the bar, or is this?
Yeah, right now we have, I know they're not bartenders, but they're growler fillers, people who fill the growlers. So we'll probably bring on 2 more people when we have this. We're making it more, because right now if we have a popular beer, I don't know if you've ever driven by it, sometimes there's a very long line. So we're trying to make it more efficient.
Yeah, I've seen the line out the door.
Yeah. So we're trying to, I don't like lines. So if you're going to be in a line, we'd at least like to offer, you can have a pint of beer while you wait, or you can try a sample of the beers.
So we should wait until we see the line and then
Yeah.
get on it. Okay.
Anyone else?
Nope.
And I know you didn't do section 30-91, but I was just reading through the end of this, and it suggested that there has to be compliance with the provisions of subsection B of section 30-91. In those general statutes. So I'm not sure if you have that handy or not. I'm just wondering what that section says, that's all.
That might be, I think they're talking about, like, we're governed by liquor store hours as far as selling beer to go.
Oh, so you think it's the hours of operation,
Yeah.
so no more than a certain amount of hours?
Right, so we wouldn't sell past 9 o'clock for someone to take it out, and then on Sunday, I think it's 10 to 5. I believe that's what they're talking about with that one.
We'll take a look at that.
All right. All right, thank you very much.
That's it. Any
Appreciate
other
it.
questions?
No, I think we're good.
Not at this point.
Thank you very much.
Well, but we're closing the hearing. Do you have questions for him? Because once we close the hearing, you can't ask him any more questions.
Yeah, I don't have any questions.
For him? Okay, cool. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's why you came. Are there any other comments for or opposed to this application? Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to public hearing number 2, the Tradition Golf Club at Oak Lane. 1027 Richbrook Road, application for a special permit to replace the freestanding sign for use by the Tradition Golf Club at Oak Lane. Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Can you hear me? My
Yes.
name's Gina Barafati. I live at 6 Canter.
Do you need to sign in, please?
Pardon?
You need to sign in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. As I said, 6 Canterbury Lane, Wilton, Connecticut. I'm representing 1027 Racebrook Road in Woodbridge, the Tradition Golf Club. And we're just looking to replace the sign with our own name and the names of the businesses on the premises, the restaurant and the tennis club.
Is there a picture of the sign, size of the sign?
Yes, I brought it, there were 12 copies brought in for you folks. I have
Last
done.
one's picture.
Actually, I remember it now that I'm looking at it. I do remember that. So how did that size sign come about?
From the regulations that I received when I went to the office and they gave me the specs, we're using Signorama on the Post Road, who's done signs for Woodbridge before, so they're well familiar with your requirements for the dimensions, and it fits within the required dimensions.
This is replacing the sign that's there.
Yes.
Well, the sign that's there is small.
Yeah,
The
no.
sign that's there is smaller, yes.
How is it going to be secured, Gina?
It's going to be posted into the ground. Signorama's going to install it professionally for us. I believe they're going to cement the posts and it's going to slat into the posts so that that doesn't swing freely or anything like that.
It's not within the state right-of-way where they're locating that?
I believe it's set back from the
Set back
right-of-way,
enough.
yes.
Still has the name Oak Lane, Larry, I noticed that.
I know.
We could not let that name go.
Is there anything about the location or size of the sign that concerns you as a CEO?
It does not. There's nothing, I don't want to say there's nothing remarkable about it, because it's a nice, pretty sign, but
Thank you.
I think that it's similar to what we've seen, for example, around the corner at the Woodbridge Club. much, it's a smaller sign, but yet we find that they,
It's small, it's quite a bit smaller.
it
Probably
is.
half the size.
But it's much, but that organization felt it needed a larger presence, on a state road, and
What determined that?
what's that?
What determined that?
Well, it was helped by the fact that they purchased a property that gave them frontage on Ansonia Road, and their members found it difficult in terms of wayfinding, coming to their spot, and I presume that you want your clients to be able to come to you, and I can't help but notice that the public is welcome sign is probably important to you as well.
Yes.
A small sign works when you're a private club.
Correct.
And this, as proposed, conforms to the regulations, correct?
Yeah, what part of your application, the size of the sign, other than it's a public and not a private sign?
I think it's under 4.6.23,
Correct. It's a total of 20 square feet in total area per side.
does not exceed 5 feet in height,
Right,
and 40 square feet in area.
right. And that 40 square
This is
feet.
50. This is 5 by 5. Oh, the sign is less, I guess. Any other questions?
With the 3 little stringers across the bottom and the top, it's exactly 20 square feet per side.
Yeah, that's what.
Any other comments?
Nope. One last question. The sign will be on, the writing will be on both sides of the sign?
Correct.
Okay,
And it's actually carved. It's not just painted on, it's a carved sign.
okay.
It's not going to be lit.
No, there's actually a street light just directly above the driveway to the country club, and it shines right on the sign, so the sign will not be lit from below.
All right, everyone good? Yep. You all right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 3, Woodbridge, 180 Amity Road LLC, doing business as Wheeler's Restaurant and Taproom, 180 Amity Road, application to amend the business hours for the current special exception permit for a restaurant liquor establishment for Wheeler's Restaurant and Taproom.
Hi, I'm Peter Electronica. I'm representing Wheelers as the owner. And our application is to extend our business hours in line with the State Liquor Commission rules so that we can operate until Sunday through Thursday till 1 a.m. and Fridays and Saturdays till 2 a.m.
Question?
Nope.
See how easy that was?
See if there's anybody here who wants to speak in favor or against the application.
Until we hear for the applications. Anybody here to speak for or against the applications? Thank you very much.
Shortest public hearing you'll probably ever be part of.
Woodbridge Gas LLC and KFP Family Limited Partnership, hearings continuation, application for amendment of section 3.14.1 gas lift stations, application to amend section 3.14.1 of the zoning regulations of the town of Woodbridge by removing the limitation on the gross floor area of a building that can be used to sell convenience items.
For the record, John Paul Garcia, representing the applicant. In keeping with discussions at the last meeting, I submitted to the town a recommended language change, which hopefully will satisfy the requirements of the commission. At the same time, it's my understanding that the enforcement officer and the clerk of the commission also had a recommendation which they submitted to the town. I have not seen a copy of it, so I don't know what was submitted. But to my knowledge, I think the commission now has two choices, both of which accomplish what it is we're looking to do. And
No, we have three choices.
well,
But feel free to continue.
you
Feel
have,
free to continue.
in keeping with what we discussed last month, yeah, that's correct. You have three choices.
Well, whatever, I'm just saying.
So, that's basically it. I think I don't know what else to say. I mean, I think we've talked this one to death, and the regulation is antiquated, and it should be amended, but again, that's my opinion, speaking for the applicant.
Right. Remember the third option. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, I have a lot of things to say, but I'll wait till the work session. I don't have any more questions for Mr.
So you've not been exposed to whatever we've heard from our staff?
Briefly, Chris explained what it was she sent, but I haven't seen a formal, and I understand, and I think in some respects, what Chris described to me is probably from a zoning aspect, probably a little cleaner than what I recommended. But again, I approached it relatively simplistically. So I think the commission now has two positive choices. Is that a better way to put it, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
Two positive choices. I mean, there's always a negative choice, but we're trying to.
Well, it depends who you are,
What?
whether it's negative or not.
Well, in keeping with the application that was approved and the site plan that was approved and the intent of what the owner wants to do. So I think the commission has two choices, I think both of which have pros and cons.
Any questions from the commission?
Or do you want to wait till the work session to go through the recommendation?
Well, I don't have any questions for
the
John Paul, so yes, I was going to discuss this.
I assume you're going to be around as we're doing the work session.
Well, if you close the public hearing,
That's the question, right?
I'm no longer allowed to voice an opinion.
We don't care about opinions, just clarification, I guess.
Once the hearing is closed.
He doesn't participate, is what you're saying.
Correct.
That it's my understanding that I have to keep my mouth shut, which is difficult at best.
Well, I'm not closing the hearing because I don't want you to talk anymore. I'm closing the hearing because, as you pointed out, we've talked about it a lot. I think we know exactly where you all stand.
Yeah, no,
and what
that
you're
wasn't
looking
meant,
for.
Mr.
No, I know you weren't. No, I'm just
and-
actually clarifying for Mr. Tyma. I'm not
Yeah,
suggesting.
it's my understanding that
Yeah.
once the public hearing is
So-
closed and the applicant cannot say
That is
anything.
true.
You guys can say the moon is green cheese, and I can't say, no, it's not blue cheese.
Well, you can start coughing.
I can start coughing, but spitballs or something, I don't know. I will stand around for the work session. Yes, in answering Al's question, I will stick around, but in theory, I'm,
You're
I'm
foreclosed, we got that, okay. Just want to be sure everybody's on the same page. Okay. I'm good.
Everyone else okay?
Yep.
Okay.
thank
Thank you very much.
So I take it then the public hearing is closed.
Is there anybody that would like to, there's no one here.
I'll just ask anyways,
Yeah.
just want to be
Thank
sure.
you.
Well, yeah, there's a procedure that's normally followed.
Right.
Okay, well. Is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor or opposed to the application? You don't get to talk twice, so. All right.
Talked 3 times on this.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you too much.
Okay.
We have a receipt and appropriate action on applications and 8.8-24 referral received since the May 5th, 2015 meeting of the commission. A letter from the Board of Selectmen, 41 Ford Road, Connecticut General Statute 8-24 referral regarding the installation of a new well for the Massaro Farm to irrigate the northern fields. So is that fine with everybody?
I have to recuse myself since I'm still on the board of directors.
There you go.
Okay, but I'll be back.
Does this need a formal motion, Chris? Does this need a formal motion or?
Yes, this is when you have
Right.
they are looking for a report from you,
Right.
so.
In the work session, or we do that now?
We can
How is
just-
this covered by TPZ?
I don't know, but
Is it
this
just a request?
it must be a statute thing because they always come to
Anytime
us.
there's something that can improve the value of a property, so a well is something that can improve the value of the property, it has to come before you.
Okay, we heard it now. We won't
When it's
work session.
municipal property.
Fine.
When it's municipal property. it's involved.
All right, okay, so we can move into a work session?
Yep.
Do you have somebody from Massaro Farm, should you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, that's the first time we've had somebody who didn't even have to say a word.
Yeah, if you don't need anything from me, that's
What are the chances we're going to say no? But-
I don't know.
Come on.
So I'm Steve Munno, farm manager at Massaro Community Farm. We're obviously looking to install a well to service our northern fields, which we've newly expanded into, and don't currently have irrigation to serve it.
Do you not have irrigation on the whole farm at all?
We do have irrigation on
Awesome.
the farm. There's a well that services our main field, which we started on 6 years ago. And as we've expanded each year into the northern section of the property, we do need irrigation for that area.
Is that a new well for you guys, or was that already
This
there?
would be a new well.
No, the other one.
The
one
other
from-
well was installed in 2010 when we first started.
How deep is that?
I believe it's roughly 200 feet.
And this one's going to probably be 200 feet also?
Whenever they get water, but I would imagine
Yeah.
it would be
Yeah.
similar given the just slight change in landscape profile.
Yeah.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Just curiosity questions,
Yeah.
but thank you.
All right.
Steve, did you sign in?
I did, yes. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve.
Thank you.
I didn't see him sitting there.
Yeah, no problem.
Obviously. Okay, I guess we're starting off with the Woodbridge Gas LLC KFP Family Limited Partnership. So my couple of comments on this. I'm kind of perplexed by this process that we're going through, but I get it. But there's a certain amount of, I think, knee-jerking on our part, on the town's part, dealing with this issue. We don't have a reg that allows for large convenience stores. We've made a decision that we all agreed that we didn't want that because we didn't want large convenience stores all over town. And so we approved an application for the gas station, and then they came back and asked for, and we approved an application for a retail space. And everything was a go, and everybody was happy. So we actually did exactly what the applicant asked us to do. Then the applicant came back and is asking for the same thing they asked for the first time, and we said, no, that's not what we want to do. So it's kind of awkward. I personally don't see why a person can't get their gas and walk into the retail store and pay for it, but so I don't understand how anybody can stop somebody from doing that. I guess my other point, which is actually bigger than this, is I think that, again, I did look through, I did actually, I mean, one of the things that Chris had suggested in a phone call before I'd actually gotten this was maybe we should put allow in certain areas and certain zones, and then I went and started looking, and of course there's no fewer than there's like 8 or 10 different areas that it's divided up. Some of them are repeats, but it's kind of a funky little space down there. So I would like us to not knee-jerk on this application and approve something like this. We have been approved for engaging the services of a planner, and I really think that the whole area should be looked at down there on how things are set up and what's going to actually happen down there, because it's rather funky. I don't know how it's actually almost impossible to read this map anyway. I had to like keep blowing it up before I got it.
You mean the B1 district?
Right. Well, the whole district down there.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Just so many pieces.
It's a little bizarre, and so it should be cleaned up and corrected. And so we've approved an application. It's an application that the owner requested. It's what we gave them, and and I saw the attempt by staff to propose an idea. I don't actually buy most of it. So I mean, I don't know.
We were requesting, Mr. Chairman, to focus this by last month. So we're only responding to the request.
No, I didn't. I wasn't saying I don't agree with you responding to it. I don't agree with some of the reasoning in it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about. No, this is exactly what we asked for, and I'm actually sorry it couldn't be just do this kind of thing. So I would strongly encourage us to just wait. This person already has signed a lease. I mean, they're ready to go. What happens? I mean, if we're not doing this, they're not going to be able to open.
I'm not aware of their business arrangement.
Well, the business arrangement is
there is a
that they've come to us for 2 applications. They've gotten approvals, and I'm assuming they're ready to go. So my point is, if they move forward with the applications that we've approved as it stands right now, there's no reason that they can't do those things.
They have to operate them as 2 separate businesses, the way you approve them.
Well, again, it can be 2 different businesses.
That's what you've approved.
That's what we've approved, so.
I just want to make one note that tonight you only have 4 people who were present at the last hearing, so you really can't take a formal vote because you need 5. So, while it's good to have the discussion and whatnot, you do still need to have someone else listen to.
What do you mean there's no?
Last month,
I wasn't at the last meeting.
Kathleen was not here and Stephen was not here. And this month, Peggy is not here and Buddy is not here. So you only have 4 people who are here, and that doesn't, well, no, I guess, wait, I think
Well, you
that's
could
4.
do
We can do 4, I'm sorry.
With
Yes.
permission, I believe.
No, I
No.
don't think you need it. All you need is
No,
4.
you need 4.
All you
All
need
you
is
need
a
is
quorum.
A quorum is 4. I misspoke. 4 out of 6 is a quorum. I misspoke. My apologies.
Well, that doesn't actually change what I'm saying. So,
No.
But we can vote.
But
But
in
yes,
terms,
and we can vote.
in terms of that, the people that can vote are Alan and you and Larry. Okay.
So to your point, I think because you have recommendations responsive to our request that deal with potential change of the zoning and what would be useful, we just received this momentarily. I got it tonight.
No, wasn't this in the packet?
Yeah.
It was in my packet, in my mailbox
Okay.
tonight.
I
So
thought maybe it
this
was
is
left
the first
on-
time I've read this, okay?
I see.
And so, I think it probably deserves some consideration irrespective of where people come down with it, because it's different than what we were talking about the last time. We were talking about, I asked at least them to take a look at it, to decipher whether or not what was being recommended might be spot zoning. I thought maybe you might be able to come up with something that wouldn't be. It appears that their non-legal opinion is you have some problems with spot zoning. So I understand that. So the second consideration is understanding that they've got certain approvals, that they wanted other approvals. Do we have to look at a different way to do it? Suggestions been made, and I appreciate the fact that you looked at that and came up with some other ways of trying to achieve something. But I think it's probably going to require a little more looking. I don't think tonight would be suitable.
And I'm not suggesting we don't continue, well, actually, I'm suggesting we do actually look at it, but as a
Yeah.
big picture item and not this picture
And when is this
item.
person coming aboard?
I don't know,
July?
we're just starting to pull names
Okay.
together,
Okay.
so.
But I think, Mr. Garcia, on behalf of his client, might want, I know everybody wants it today or yesterday, but based upon where we are and some of this new material that we've received and certain suggestions here, you might be able to come up with something useful going forward. I tend, at this point, understanding what we've already done, to not be in the camp yet to try to favor what the current situation that's being asked for is. I'm a little reluctant myself to move forward with that.
To me, it all comes down to wanting the change so they don't have to hire that one person.
Well, if that, I don't think that's only their hardship, but if that is their hardship, then actually that's not hardship.
No, but I think
That's not our board's determination.
No, I understand, but from what I understood about this whole thing, because they do have the approval for the convenience store is there.
Right.
The approval for the
Well,
gas station.
the approval for the retail store.
Retail store.
So the call it a convenience store if you wish. The retail store is there. The approval for the gasoline station is there. Okay. The only thing is, they're two separate approvals, they're two separate businesses, so they feel they have to have two separate employees. Okay? So by doing this, they'll have exactly the same thing, except one employee. So therefore, it comes down to one employee, and therefore saving, from an economic point of view, saving some money. That's what I see this whole thing is.
Well, again, I don't.
I mean, and therefore, I don't,
Yeah.
do you change the zoning regulation for that whole, is that the basis for changing the zoning regulation?
No, I think it's a planning issue, and I think what Jeff is saying is very appropriate.
So,
You don't often hear me say that, Jeff, but I think it's right out.
I know that when you agree with me, I do feel better. If that helps.
But it's not for that reason that I agree with you.
Well, no, I know that. We all know that.
So do we just continue this, decide it, or? If I understand what you're recommending is continuance.
Well, I was thinking, again, you need to get beyond the 65 days at some level. Don't you have to act on it within a certain period of time once you've started the public hearing? And I
Once
assume
the hearing is closed, you have to act.
I know you have to act, but in terms of keeping the public hearing open, that's indefinite, as you're
We
interpreting.
already closed it, no?
it already.
It's already closed.
The hearing is
So
closed,
we have 65 days running.
and
When's that up?
From today.
from
Because we
today,
just
because you
closed it.
just closed the hearing.
Okay, that's fair. So then I would suggest, we not make a decision at this point.
That's what I would,
Well, we could also, because we don't meet in August, couldn't we ask to have it continued beyond the 65 days to go to September? to give more time to have the town planner come up?
I don't know if we can ask him, but if we did have to vote for it, we could actually vote no without prejudice or something like that, or so that they can bring the application back, so it's not like we're,
Right, I just know that
Yeah.
if it closes in August, that doesn't really help much.
I don't know if we're allowed to extend it if we've already closed the hearing.
I don't think we can. I think you need permission
The
of the
hearing
applicant.
can't be extended because you've closed the hearing.
No, I'm not asking
But
about the hearing.
Let me finish. When you go to make a decision, they can grant you an extension of time in which to make a decision.
Yeah, for one additional
That's what I
65-day
asked.
period, right?
No.
I think that's what it is.
I think it can go on forever.
No, they can't.
It's for one.
When you have.
I bet it's somewhere between the two.
When the commission holds a hearing on its own amendment,
Mhm.
there's no end
Oh,
to
right.
it. But when there's an applicant submitting, then there's a finite period of time for you to act.
Right.
So yes, the applicant can give you an extension.
And what's the finite period?
I
Do you
believe
know?
it's 65 days.
I would want to double check that it's 65. It may only be 35, but I don't have my statute book up.
Okay.
But it's at least another.
But if there's a continuation, also, you can go watch the,
Mhm.
and therefore vote.
Mhm.
Right.
But it sounds like it's more to ensure that we have the town planner on board who looks at this whole area before a final decision is made.
So maybe I missed something here. So we have X number of days, but if the applicant turns around and sends us a letter saying, we're going to give you, we're willing to give you another extension?
They
Is that-
haven't given you any extension yet. You have your own time period
I
that the
understand
statutes give you.
that. That wasn't my question. My question is, if he leaves tonight, he says, I don't think they're going to have it here in 30 days, so I'm going to send, instead of having them vote on it next month and say without prejudice or something like that, can he turn around, or his client, send a letter that says, we don't want this application decided yet, we want to wait until X month?
He can give you that extension of time anytime before the
Okay, so that's
the time
really where I
for
was
the act
coming from,
ends.
when they can keep telling us that.
They can only do, I believe it's only one time, one extension. And
No, they
Chris may
can
be
give
right.
you an extension, they can give you multiple extensions up to the time frame period. So I mean, sometimes they can give you a 30-day extension, and then they've got a 65-day kitty, then they can give you another 35 days. So they can technically
Yeah,
give you
I
more
think-
than one extension, but there's a finite
And I
date
believe-
by which there are no more extensions that can be granted.
You're absolutely right, and I believe that's 65 days, however many extensions add up to that, one or more. So, that's where you're at.
All right, so is it the consensus that we are tabling this for now?
And when is the next meeting, July 6th?
You're not holding it you're not holding it on the first Monday in
The 13th.
July. You decided
Yeah,
that you
because-
wanted to do it on a Tuesday because
Right.
you were concerned about
Oh,
having
seventh
the
then.
4th of July weekend.
It's the 7th.
I think it's the 7th. Of July.
Yes. July 7th.
July 7th? Fine. I will not be here on July 7th, so you know.
Well, if I get
You can
a
listen.
CD of the meeting, I'll review it so I can be a voting member.
And Peggy may be here by then. I am good at that one.
Peggy and I always seem to be at opposite.
Yeah, I know.
You guys must call in advance, just to say.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Robert Leonard, 175 Amity Road. Application for amendment of section 13.12.1 liquor establishments, application to amend zoning regulations for the town of Woodbridge to add the new subsection. Oh, it's, in our public hearing, it was subsection G. In our work session, it says subsection I.
His vote
It's really I.
It's awesome.
says G underneath.
Oh, and then in the next one it says G. So it's got everything.
I wasn't here for that, for all of the public hearings.
That was the public.
I was in here.
Oh, that's true, you were late. Okay, so any discussion? there a motion?
I make a motion to amend. We need an effective date.
If you can give me 2 weeks, that's fine.
That's what I'm gonna, because I know you have to publish and all that. So if you can put in an effective date in
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today.
So what we're doing is we're adopting 30-16 as it's listed there, G, or I, whatever it is. Looks like it's G.
Right.
Okay.
Mr. Tyma, in response to your question, I took a moment to look up what 30-90.
Yes.
And it seems to be about loitering on premises, on permit premises. It's about loitering.
Loitering.
Not loitering, loitering.
Well,
I got that.
one would say, I don't know what the difference is.
Well, I was giving you the opening, you know that, don't you? So this is minors. Okay. It's loitering by minors. So the way that comes out here is such selling of retail, so they can't have minors coming around, hanging out. Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Gilbertson.
But the other thing I thought, which is interesting in the statutes, is they can't sell more than 9 liters of beer to be sold to any person on any day on which the sale is authorized.
9
It just seemed that
liters?
I was wondering who lobbied for that at the state legislature.
You picked that.
So, but our regs say, that the manufacturer of beer, and it refers to Connecticut General Statute 30-16B, and our regs only say B,
Right.
right? So that doesn't then include, I think, or you tell me, F or G, which they've highlighted, those are the brew pubs, and this is not a brew pub, right?
It's not.
What they're adding
Is a
brew pub.
Is the brew pub. That's what they want to
So he
add.
wants F through G to be applicable. He wants us to adopt it under our zoning regs.
Okay, so which is, you said a brew pub, which is the one that has to serve food?
No, that's a restaurant.
That's a restaurant.
That's the restaurant.
That's why I
Okay.
was asking what the
Okay.
difference. And she said, and that's the reason why a brew pub doesn't have to serve, a restaurant must serve.
So I guess our understanding is at retail, if you're a brew pub, you can sell at retail to some of your customers. If you're just a manufacturer, you can't. You can only sell at wholesale. So this is allowing them to sell it
No,
retail.
they sell retail now also. They're allowed to
Only
sell.
outside, you can't drink on the premises
That's
retail. That's the difference.
Okay.
They can have flights of beer, which people can then,
But our regs only refer to Connecticut General Statute 30.16B,
Right.
and not any of the others.
Correct.
So does that mean we need to
So you're going to add
adjust our
F.
regs?
Yeah,
Because
and
we
the
are only,
regulations, yeah.
huh?
Yeah,
So,
we'll amend
because
the
our regs
regulations.
only permit the manufacturer.
the brewer,
Apparently our regs were
Correct.
adopted before they adopted this, he said 2 years ago.
yes.
To add F and G, so, I think that the motion, right, as I understand it, is to add F and G under 30-16 to our zoning regulations. Is that the motion?
Well, that would have to be our motion, but.
Yeah. Effective 2 weeks from today.
I'll second that, by the way.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Not opposed, no, in favor.
So it's F and G and not just G, which is
Right.
what they're, right?
Right.
Correct.
Got it.
F and G.
Third item is the Tradition Golf Club at Oakland, 1027 Racebrook Road, application for a special permit to replace a freestanding sign for use by the Tradition Golf Club at Oakland.
Move approval.
Yeah. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You're welcome. All right, the next item is Woodbridge 180 Amity Road LLC, DBA Wheeler's Restaurant and Taproom. Application to amend the business hours for the current special exception permit for a restaurant liquor establishment for Wheeler's Restaurant and Taproom.
Move. Make a motion.
A second?
Second.
Who's seconding? Oh, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. This is for discussion. We'll have a motion to Board of Selectmen, 41 Ford Road, Connecticut General Statute 8-24, referral regarding the installation of a new well for the Massaro Farm to irrigate the northern fields. Discussion? Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One question, going back to the Wheeler. There was a note in the minutes from last, I noticed, we had talked about trying to avoid having this, by giving the zoning officer some sort of authority to approve and then come back to us or something or other.
Right.
If you take a look in the minutes from last,
Yeah, I had that same question. It was a suggestion to have, yep, it's on
Former
page
bucket.
5 of the minutes.
We looked at the case law that we could find on this from Fuller and from Tondra, and the best we could find is that this is not an area which is clear. On one hand, it is a special permit, and special permits are only acted on by the commission itself, but there's no clear law that we could find that said what happens when you amend it, because it's a special permit.
okay,
So you could easily delegate at the time of your vote on the special
then
permit.
you delegate.
You could easily delegate such things to the enforcement officer, and that might be the
At the
most
time we grant the
straightforward.
permit, yeah, as a condition.
Right.
Then any
Yeah.
future, changes to
But if it's a
ours.
special, I get it, and so I get the purpose, but if it's a special permit, and it's a public hearing, and the public is saying, we want this place to close at a certain time, isn't that the reason why we would have to have a special hearing if they want to change their hours?
We're trying to give you ideas based on what you, the discussion.
Well, I understand, that's all, I'm just discussing it, I'm not saying you're
Right.
wrong, I'm just discussing
You
it.
don't, you certainly don't have to.
I'm just questioning whether we should even be able to do that.
And that's where we couldn't find
Right.
anything definitively
Yeah.
saying
So
you have to.
I think it's kind of a
amend.
problem to say that's a good idea.
I think we have to have someone take a look at some case law. I think there's general acknowledgement of that if it's not part of the business of what they're doing, which is sort of why you have the special exception public hearing, that if the hours are not considered substantive versus the utilization or the use, then maybe you can do a delegation. I think that's kind of a theory that abounds in some of the literature.
But it doesn't give the public to weigh in on it.
Well, no, but the public can always weigh in terms of talking about hours. They can show up and they can weigh in,
But on the first time around.
right?
But not
And we
on-
can, no, but I mean, if in fact we didn't consider it to be germane to the substance of the proposal, that is the hours of operation, because the state law allows for up to a certain time, I mean, there's that secondary consideration as to whether or not you should be in conflict with whatever the state would allow, and then you'd have to have a reason for doing that.
In many communities surrounding us, it's a tool that is used to control things. Your conditions of zoning is something that is used as a tool of things that you're concerned about. So, to your point, it might frustrate you some on things that are not controversial, but it may be useful to you on things that aren't.
So I still think that when we suggest to them that they should take the hours that are allowed by the state, they should just take the hours that are allowed by the state. If they want to close early, great. Taking the early hours and then having to come back, that's actually where I think the flaw is.
So maybe that's something we just keep in mind.
Right.
Right, and we say,
We should use this as an example.
So-
No.
Even if you don't want to stay open late, please do.
No,
no, we give them permission to stay open later, so they set, even now, they set their hours, they close at, we gave them permission to stay open until what is it, midnight, but they close at 10. I mean, they
Right.
gave their current hours and
Right.
their permitted hours.
Right.
You know, I think a lot of that comes up if you're talking about these kind of unusual uses. We've had applications from people in regular, R1 zones. They're doing their little thing over there, and then we're always asking about hours of operation rather than places in a commercial arena. I think that's very different. But you're right, we can give them carte blanche, and then they can decide how they want to use it, if they're in a commercial
I
area.
mean, they're only gonna stay open when they're making money.
Well, you could be a multinational corporation that perceives that that's part of your long-range plan.
So we're waiting for those.
In which case, they would have asked for it in the first place.
Right. All right, no report from SCROG, no discussion on marijuana regulations, I guess.
Under the regulations, we did hand you out a memo this evening.
Yes, correct.
Where we found that Scrivener's error. We did ask town council for his opinion, and it's written down there, so we just asked direction from you what you would like to do.
Yeah, no, I think, I agree with town council. I think that it's, just because it was not put in there, doesn't mean that it wasn't changed as far as part of it. It's always, it's still in the regulations. It'd be helpful if somebody could read it, I agree, but I don't think it should seem like it's not there because it was not printed.
But the recommendation is either that we have a formal vote to have it printed as an additions, or we just direct staff to make the addition. I think we should just direct you guys to make the addition, since it's
Yeah.
always been a part of the regs.
Right.
Yeah, if it's part of the regs, if it's always been part of the regs, then you can't vote on it.
Right.
We literally have a business that was approved based on that regulation.
Right, I saw that in the note, in the memo.
I mean, it can't not be there.
No.
Well, it's obvious there was there's an...
Sure.
Right.
It was an
It's not like
inadvertent
there was-
error
Right.
that no one caught at the time, and it wasn't intentional, and there was no purpose for it.
Right.
And so therefore, if it was always considered part of the regulation, it's been, I don't think a vote is necessary.
Right.
It's there, you know.
We just wanted to
Yes.
air it in front of the commission so it
Absolutely.
just doesn't magically appear on
Yes.
our behalf.
Well, if the business magically disappears, we might be more worried.
Well,
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Okay, I think the next item is the approval of the minutes.
They're interesting minutes, boy.
I read them.
Missed seeing
I have a
attorney
couple
Nutt.
changes,
I just
corrections.
remember early on in our time on this commission, I
Yes.
remember all the meetings we had with
That's
these
right,
guys.
Mr. Dunn.
It made me think all of our meetings were gonna go to midnight.
Yeah, right.
Well, if he were on every agenda, we'd be closer.
Any corrections?
Yeah, a couple. I'll give them to you. I mean, they're just,
There's a lot of grammatical stuff.
there's a couple grammatical things that we just,
Spellings.
but nothing substantive.
Is it really true that we had never, that it wasn't in any of the approvals that was supposed to be a 55 years or older?
Oh, absolutely it is.
So, but there's a suggestion in
Right.
the notes that
Yes.
it was not.
Right.
Right, I don't think that's correct.
I
was
mean, that's what
around
he
then.
said, but
Well, I know that's what he said, but no, it doesn't seem to me like anybody really came out and said, no, it's not what it.
Woodbridge Village District, if I remember correctly, was supposed to be
Was
55 or older.
defined as
It was
55
defined.
or older.
Yeah.
And that's what they proposed.
Right, that's
Oh,
what sent
absolutely.
it back to.
Right.
They wrote the regs.
Right,
Correct.
right.
That's correct.
Unchanged.
Yeah.
But I do think that some of that discussion, really, is good for us to hear as to what reality checks they come up with.
But I don't recall, so I wasn't at this meeting, but I don't recall seeing in the minutes where somebody, where that
Was
statement
questioned?
was denied.
Yeah, I mean,
Where it was
Well-
outright denied.
Yeah, well, I don't remember it being this clear until I read the minutes. I don't remember them actually saying that either. Do you remember them being that clear about that?
Here.
Oh, so she certainly didn't hear it.
I just don't remember.
And, there were a couple of weird things in here that they said that, but we didn't, we were really just here to have a discussion. it wasn't like they were for an application, so I don't think we really wanted to get antagonistic.
Right, but
We
these
just
are the
let them-
minutes of a meeting, and I know it's an informal
Yep,
discussion, so
yep.
I'd hate to have somebody refer back to them
Right,
and
so
say,
we told you.
oh, these said this, but that really isn't, you know?
But it does call it a discussion. I hear what you're saying, but, yeah.
They have the right to misspeak.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
disprove the.
No one's on the,
It's the same thing with the missing reg. I mean, it's in the reg, and if it's in the reg, it's in the reg.
listen, I don't actually buy into their reasoning about why they think units should go down to 700 square feet either, but I wasn't gonna stand there and argue with them.
I just don't want.
700 square feet might be smaller than the in-law apartments that are allowed in Orange.
I just think that if what they stated is incorrect, for the record, it should be corrected. That's all I'm concerned
So
about.
do you want a note insert?
Okay, so I think.
I
we should
wasn't
put-
even at the meeting, I
Yeah,
was
but
really
still, you
surprised
read
when
that-
I
you read it. It's a
when I read
discussion.
here, and it made it sound like, wait a minute, this, we didn't, it wasn't a part of this whole thing for it to be 55 and older, when I remember that pretty distinctly.
So maybe we could ask staff to look at their assertions.
See, what-
If there are issues, if and when we come up with any kind of formal.
See, one of, but you see, one of the reasons I don't really think that's what they said, so I think this is a little, is that one of the things they're asking for is.
Is for it not to be, I
Is
get
it
that.
not to be, so.
If it wasn't required, they wouldn't have been.
They wouldn't have come and said anything if they really believed that,
I sure, but,
but I think it's a good point, so we should make a note
Which
of it.
page are you on?
I don't know, I saw it when I was
think
reading
it's,
it
I
before,
wanna
and
say
now I'm
seven.
trying to find it.
7. I think it's 7. Yeah. I mean, he said other things. I mean, again, he's saying things I don't.
I mean,
The resurface of the proposal for the country club and what they propose is quite different from his client's approved projects, demonstrating that his client's design is one that's not favored by the demographic that it was initially targeted. Well, that doesn't make any sense. They're the ones that did their own
I know.
due
That's why-
diligence to determine what the market was, so.
these are just statements that he's
Exactly.
making, and so
Yeah.
to put in,
Right.
I wouldn't put in anything
Yeah.
personally.
Well, I don't think you can, because they're his assertions, and as long as they're
Exactly.
accurate, reflection.
Nobody's saying that he's, whether he's correct or not.
Look.
It's just his,
Page 6, what his client wants to change.
Exactly.
And in particular, quite important, to eliminate the requirement that residents be 55 years and older.
Right.
What could be more
Yeah.
binding
Not
to
only is
somebody?
this the largest impediment,
Right.
no, I mean,
So it's
he's
a
saying it's a
non-issue in terms
requirement.
of it.
He's saying specifically it's a requirement.
right.
Yeah, so we're okay. But I think, however, you may want to misspeak. He's entitled to misspeak as long as we're not acting on it or relying upon it.
I'll give you this, a couple of changes. This, couple of I wasn't really.
Anything else?
Through the whole thing.
Can we vote on the approval of those minutes? We do? Okay.
No, we didn't
I
vote.
didn't think so.
I'm waiting,
We need a motion.
we're waiting for the motion.
I'll make
I
that
thought that's what
motion.
you were asking.
I'll make that motion subject to his minor corrections.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, very good.
I wasn't here, so
Sorry.
I don't know the question, but
He would have enjoyed his presentation. He would have kept you longer than you wanted.
you guys are much, I don't know. I guess I'm more black and white, I just,
You're not brilliant, but we appreciate what you brought up, believe me.
I'd like to think we're covered under the,
Yes.
I know, it's
Discussion.
what they're, I know.
otherwise we'd have to stand there and call
I
out
said,
everything.
people, I mean, people quote, they don't have to quote the whole document,
Yeah, we've learned that.
right? They don't have to quote the whole document, all they have to quote is, from the minutes of this meeting at such and such a date, it was stated X. And
But it
somebody
wasn't
down,
stated by the commission.
it doesn't matter.
Yes,
was
it does.
stated.
It makes very.
I'm
much
talking about people quoting, there obviously would be misquoting and misrepresenting, but people do that.
sense. Even if you put in an asterisk and put it down, they can omit that. And misquote. Well, whatever.
So is there a
Maybe I
motion to
just-
adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Misquote.
Second.